If you're a beginner or intermediate street lifter, this may help you out progress faster and break your plateaus. And why you should listen to me? Well, I'm a certified coach. I've been coached by Matthew Zlat. I've met the strongest guys in the world in street lifting. I don't even need to mention their names. You already know who they are. I'm a national champion, and I've helped dozens of people going from zero to their first pull-up, to their first weighted pull-up, the same for dips, the same for squats, and also unlocking their first muscle up. So there's two things that will help you break plateaus and speed up your progress, which is high exertion variations. You need to use them as a priority. Smart supplementary exercises. This will depend on your leverages and efficiencies. Let's start with high exertion variations. This is basically making lighter weights feel heavier by removing the advantage that lets you lift more weight. And here are some examples. Tempo. With tempo, we have here an example, 3-1-0. It means it is going 30 seconds down, 1 second pause at the bottom, and explode up. This is a good variation if you are a person who has trouble with stability in the dips in this case. A lot of people, when they put a lot of weight, they start to get shaky at the top. And this may make them lose balance, have trouble going to the bottom and explode up. So this variation is a good variation to help you with stability, have the control to go down, and also the pause at the bottom will help you build the strength there, which is basically the hardest part of the dips for most people, which is exploding from the bottom. Then we have pin pull-ups. Pin pull-ups is something that a lot of people are now using. This is good because it removes the first part of the pull-up, which is the part where you are more explosive. This is a part where you accelerate, which kind of gives you this momentum to lift more weight. And by removing this, you are forced to only work on this part, which is basically the hardest part of the movement. This will force you to produce way more force to get the rep compared to exploding from the bottom, where you can use your legs, you can use the momentum, you can use elastic power. Then we have locked pull-ups. This is something that I use a lot. This will help you with the strength in the lockout position, which is the hardest part for most people. You can do this from 1 second up to 3-5 seconds. This will depend on your goals and your programming. Then we have what Pete calls the 1.5 pull-ups. I call it the middle pause, but basically you accelerate and you pause at the middle of the pull-up and then you lock out. This is really good because you stop the acceleration, and this will force you to accelerate again from zero basically, which makes the exercise even harder because you'll force to produce more force. Like I said, when you start from the bottom, you accelerate, you use the momentum, you use the elastic power to help you go up. By removing this will make things way harder. And then we have the band use. He calls it the infinity pull-up. You can call it pull-ups with using the band or whatever. Basically what he's doing here is pulling as fast as possible from the bottom, is accelerating as much as possible, and the more you pull, the harder it gets because the band are pushing you to the bottom. And this can help you with the explosive power, going from 0 to 100, going from 0 to max acceleration. This could be very helpful also for the muscle up. And also it will work on this lockout part because the more you pull, the harder it will get at the top position. And also this is a good variation, and you can also apply these variations for dips, for bench press, for squats, or whatever. And why use these variations? Well, the body gets stronger where it's challenged. And when you perform regular reps, you can often bounce off the bottom, accelerate through sticking points, shift technique slightly, let stronger ranges of motion compensate weaker ones. And high exertion variations don't allow that. That will expose you where you are weak and force you to produce more force, to get stronger at that part. And working on your weaknesses can be very helpful for you to break the plateau that you have. And the first benefit is their strength in stick points. It forces you to own the position and focus on the weak point. That's why the plateau disappears fast. usually when you start applying these methods. They improve force production. When momentum disappears and acceleration, you have to generate force yourself, like I said in the beginning. That's why pause work and pin work feels so difficult despite using lighter weights. This is important. You're producing force from zero, you'll have more unit recruitment. And for you to lift as much weight as possible, the more unit recruitment you have, the better. You need to master your central nervous system for you to be as strong as possible. You need to teach your body to recruit as much motor units as possible. They improve technique. Because everything happens slower. You notice the balance, bar path, positioning, bracing, leg drive, lat engagement. And because of this, technique becomes much cleaner, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate. One of the first things you need to do if you're starting street lifting is to get the technique dialed in. By making your technique as good as possible will make you progress way better, way faster in the long run. They build confidence. This is also important, especially with things that are more dangerous, such as the dips or the squats. Someone who's comfortable sitting at the bottom of a squat or dips for 30 seconds isn't afraid of the hole anymore. A lot of people have this, they're kind of scared of the bottom of the dip, going from the bottom to the top, of missing. A lot of people have the strength, but they are scared that the bar will fall on them because they're not confident in being at the bottom. So working at the bottom part is very important. Me right now, I'm never scared of going to the bottom and trying to go up. Even if I'm attempting at 1 rep max with a big weight that could end my life basically, because I've trained it a lot and I'm confident I can get out off the bar safely because I've trained it a lot. I've trained the bottom part a lot and the bar will never fall on me. And I never train with the safety bars. And this also can apply for the dips. A lot of people get scared when they're at the bottom of the dips because they feel their shoulder stretching, their back stretching, and they're kind of scared. But you need to train in that position for you to build that confidence. They reduce ego lifting. You can't fake a pause. You can't bounce off pins. This will expose you and show you where are your weaknesses and make you know how much weight you can really lift. By the way, if you're interested in coaching, you can go in the description below. I have 2 offers. If you are a person who just wants to get stronger and bigger, you can opt in for the cheaper offer, which is basically for people who want to get just stronger at the gym. You'll have access to my app where you'll have everything there explained from exercises, video demonstration. It will show you a graph of your progress throughout the months and years. You'll have daily reminders to keep you locked in and motivated. And you'll have access to me 24/7 to make sure that everything goes up smoothly. And if we work together for a whole month and you don't see any improvements in your lifts, I'll give you a full refund. So if you're interested in coaching, description below, or you can send me a message and we can talk and I can explain you better what I can do for you. Now, attention, they are more taxing. High exertion variations are fatiguing because they require much higher effort per kilogram lifted, even with 15 or 30% less weight. Because every rep lasts longer, you produce more force voluntarily, there is less opportunity to relax during the rep. That's why 5 paused reps can feel harder than 5 regular reps with significantly more weight. Also, I'm gonna leave a free guide for people who want to know how to train, how to get stronger, how to build muscle if this is something that you're looking for. This guide will teach you how to structure a program, how hard to train, and you'll have training split ideas that you can apply that will help you speed up your progress with strength and muscle building. The muscle building mastery guide down in the description below. Now, how to implement them. I'd pick 1 to 2 variations per exercise max, which would address 1 to 2 weaknesses or reinforce the movement. For example, 1, pick 1 or 2 variations that directly address your current weaknesses. Make one of them your primary lift for 4 to 8 weeks or even more. I use this to help me go from around 57 kilograms, 1 rep max at 95 kilogram body weight to 63 kilograms for 3 reps at around 94 kilogram body weight. And this makes me around 1% or 0.1% of the population with my height and weight. I'm 188 or 6'2", and I'm 93, 94, 95 kilograms. And using these high exertion variations help me reach this level. Then you need to progress it like any other main lift. Then return to the standard lift and access the carry over. You'll see that your strength will explode. That keeps training focus instead of constantly changing exercises. And treat them like a real lift. Most people treat them as variation. They do light stuff and they don't pay attention to them. And as soon as you start progressing in them and you add like 10, 20 kilograms while maintaining a RPE of 7 to 9, I'll see how brutal this is for your strength gains. Now, smart supplementary exercises. This could be a waste of time, or it will help you address your weaknesses, help you with pain, and make the main lift stronger when done right. You have two factors, I believe: leverage and deficiencies. Leverage has to do with how long is your arms, your femur length, because this will determine which exercise will be better for you as a supplementary exercise, and also your deficiencies. For example, you need more muscle mass in your legs. This could help you add more weight to the squat later on. And this will determine what you should do for greater returns. For example, me, I have long arms, and when I do dips, I feel mostly on my shoulders, a bit on my chest, and I feel 0 triceps. And I have two street lifter friends who are shorter than me and have short arms. And one told me that he feels mostly on his chest and triceps and nothing on his shoulder. And the other one told me that he feels like 80% on his triceps and like 15% on his chest, and the rest is shoulder. This is for you to see the difference in the muscles that are more stimulated during the same movement, just because you have different leverages. So for me, putting a lot of effort in the triceps maybe would not make much sense, but for my friend, probably if he had like 10, 20 kilograms in the triceps, his dips probably could explode. And then you have biceps. For me, it does not make sense for me to train biceps. If I train biceps a lot, if I grow them more, I'll feel like I have problems with locking out. And I'll start having tendon pain by doing the pull-ups, heavy pull-ups, and heavy curls. So for me, it does not make sense. But for other person, probably. Other people, bench press makes more sense for them than overhead press. For me, I believe that overhead press would make more sense for me to help me strengthen my shoulders. And also because when I tend to go heavier on the dips, I tend to feel a bit of shoulder pain. So getting them stronger, having more muscle mass here could be very helpful for me. Meanwhile, for other person, getting their chest as big as possible, getting the numbers on the bench press or chest press would make more sense to them. And there's also other things that you could do with machines, such as this variation that Ludo is doing in the lat pull down, is just training the hardest part of the pull-up, and this could make sense for you. So you need to be smart with this, and if you don't know how to program your training, if you're stuck, you can go for coaching. I'll be glad to help you out, to guide you to become even stronger and eventually a advanced lifter. So that was it for this video. Hope it was helpful and you learned something.